Robinson says, "At first it was challenging for us to market 12-inch singles because they were whole selling for $2.25 versus the traditional 7-inch singles that were whole selling for only 60 cents. The length of the single, however, was just the beginning of the Robinsons' problems. An equally formidable challenge was getting the song on radio. It was still a few years before music video would become a prominent promotional tool. Thus, radio, despite its localness, was still the primary way to gain widespread exposure. The Robinsons had been in the music business long enough to know that their effort to turn hip-hop's party anthems and street rhymes into successful records would either be rewarded or thwarted based on their access to the nation's radio airwaves. So Robinson went to work. She did a lot of hand-holding and maneuvered deftly to persuade DJs around the country to play the record. WESL AM St. Louis and WBLS FM New York were the first two radio stations to receive Rapper's Delight. What happened that fall in St. Louis typified the march of Rapper's Delight into pop music history. After sending the record to Jim Gates, the programmer of WESL St. Louis, Sylvia followed up with a series of phone calls. After she persuaded him to give the record a try, listener response took care of the rest. Recalling that magical moment, Robinson says, "That night, a local distributor phoned in with an order for 30,000 records. It was so bizarre that the next day I called retailers in the market, who confirmed that the record was that much in demand. Station managers at WESL reported everybody wanted to know immediately after it was aired where the record could be bought. Like many other stations around the country, WESL could not play the song enough to satisfy demand and soon had to play the 15-minute record twice every hour just to keep the phone lines from jamming. But not everyone responded enthusiastically to the record. When WBLS's Frankie Crocker first received a copy, he was not impressed. A source from the station was quoted as saying, Crocker, wouldn't play the record because it's too black for his station. 2 days after allegedly making that comment, Crocker relented and WBLS jumped on the Rapper's Delight bandwagon. But where on earth was that one play going to come from? Even if programmers could handle the bizarre idea of performers talking instead of singing, they were faced with a record whose length would push 4 other singles from the playlist. Sylvia remembers begging a programmer at the city's struggling WABC station for play, to no effect. Other New York stations were similarly resistant. It wasn't until Jim Gates, a jock at WESL in St. Louis, decided to pick up on Rapper's Delight that Sylvia's prophecy was proved right. An order for 5,000 records came in off a few plays, says Sylvia. It started getting played all over the country. We couldn't press it fast enough. You had to order it and wait weeks for the next shipment. Her memory of pressing more than 50,000 copies a day, enough to outperform even Escape, the Pina Colada song, is borne out by J.B. Moore. Then an ad sales staffer at Billboard, who remembers how one Queens-based wholesaler mentioned that he alone was shipping 25,000 copies of Rapper's Delight per day.
This is St. Louis Public Radio. In the late 1970s and early 80s, DJs like Gentleman Jim Gates, Edie B. Anderson, and Larry Shepard, the original Godfather, helped introduce the St. Louis region to hip-hop and a new era of music. The genre turns 50 this year and is still at the forefront of pop culture in St. Louis and around the world. St. Louis Public Radio's Chad Davis asked Gates what it was like to help usher in the new genre when New York record executive Joe Robinson gave him some of the first hip-hop records to play on Gates' East St. Louis station, WESL.
Well, you started getting all kinds of records, but Joe Robinson was ahead of the pack because he had, Melly Mel, he had the Furious Five.
The edge, I'm trying not to lose my head. It's like a jungle sometimes, it makes me wonder how I keep from going under. Standing on the front stoop, hanging out the window, watching all the cars.
Joe had everybody. Even the first girls group that rapped.
Right on up, we're gonna funk you. Right on up, we're gonna funk you. Right on up. I said, get up, get up, get up, get up, get up, get up.
When did rap kind of take over here in St. Louis?
I think it had to be early 80s, we still had, groups like Teddy Pendergrass and Temptations still had hit records, but always the biggest records were rap.
Were there people like within the early 80s, mid 80s or so that you remember who were pushing the genre forward, who were DJing hip hop, who people should know as the pioneers?
Yeah. You can't say anything about St. Louis radio unless you mention Jockenstein, Dr. Jockenstein. His name is Rod King. I hired him, oh my God, about 76, 7. The whole image that I wanted to make of WESL was the Motown of radio. Meaning, if you're listening to us and you hear all these names, Gentleman Jim Gates, Dr. Jockenstein, Curtis Boogeyman Soul, the original Godfather, EDB, these are star names, but they were real names.
Could you kind of describe a little bit how it was in the, St. Louis, East St. Louis radio scene prior to Rapper's Delight coming out? And, who were the big players?
They were sending records here from New York. They weren't all as good as Rapper's Delight. They weren't even close. Joe Robinson at Sugar Hill Records, which was all platinum records, his wife just took the instrumental side of Chic's, I think it was Good Times.
Good times. These are the good times. Leave your cares behind.
And just flipped it over and they did their own rap.
I am Wonder Mike and I'd like to say hello. Up to the black, to the white, the red, and the brown, and the purple, and yellow. But first,
I played it in my office and I gave it to Edie. And I said, you got to play this. I don't want to play that. I can't play that. And the first time she heard the scratch, and they did a scratch thing. Chicken, chicken. And she said, oh, no, and I said, you got to have to play it twice an hour.
How did the public respond to the hip-hop music that you all were playing?
Well, that's why we knew it was okay. But as the years go by, you kind of integrate all of that stuff, the old with the current and then the new, and you kind of evolve, and it creates its own, environment. It's funny. Most folks who love hip hop and rap, they didn't really know that they were really evolving into that. They just knew what was hip, what was hot, what was now. So I love Motown, which I knew was a sound, but the audience didn't really know Motown from Philadelphia, which was the OJs and Harold Melvin, Teddy Pendergrass. But if you mix them all during the day and they hear it, they're evolving into all of that. Mm-hmm. And they don't call it hip-hop or whatever. They just call it straight-up soul music with rap.
The new Afro-urban movement, rap, redefines the voice of America's chocolate cities. I'm the Grandmaster with the 3 MCs. That shocked the house for the young ladies. Rapper's Delight, 1979. Please, no one call this radio station. Our telephone lines are locked. We will play the record again. The words were fresh in Sugar Hill Gang's Big Bank Hank's memory as he told VH1 Classic Soul about the time when his group's seminal record, Rapper's Delight, premiered on 92 WKTU and detonated a national music movement. As it has often been noted, the story of commercial rap music begins with the release of Rapper's Delight in October 1979. The song's eruption onto the American musical landscape was akin to a blast of dynamite of musical upheaval on wax. Once radio put it on the street, the damn thing was everywhere. Shortly after its release, the song sold 50,000 copies a day, eventually going double platinum, reaching number 4 on Billboard's Pop Singles chart and number 46 on the R&B chart. In Canada, it was number 1. In Europe, Israel, and South Africa, it went to the top 5. So many copies of Rapper's Delight were sold that in 1980 the National Association of Recording Merchandisers named it Black Single of the Year. Finally, the musical genie developed on the streets and in the playgrounds of New York City was out of its 5-borough magic lamp. The domestic success of Rapper's Delight was quickly matched by its reception on popular music radio stations in France, Japan, Holland, the United Kingdom, and around the globe, igniting a concentric ring of fire that would spread with intensity and power. During the 1980s, small enclaves of hip-hop activity grew into a monumental, globally relevant culture, unified, in some cases, solely by the presence and expressions of the DJs, graffiti artists, b-boys, beat girls, and MCs. From the local artistic expression based in the Bronx to the imitations, adoptions, and appropriations found in German hip-hop, Australian hip-hop, Pinoy rap, Philippines, Azeri rap, Azerbaijan, and rap Nigerian, Niger, to mention a few variations, rap music and hip-hop culture have transformed the musical and cultural landscape of the globe. This chapter reveals the various ways that hip-hop culture was transmitted from the United States to the world.
Now what you hear is not a test, I'm rapping to the beat. And me, the groove, and my friends are gonna try to move your feet. You see, I am Wonder Mike, and I like to say hello. To the black, to the white, the red, and the brown, and the purple, and yellow. But first, I gotta bang, bang, the boogie to the boogie, say up, jump the boogie.
A long, long time ago, even before there was a thought of me even being conceived, there was a man by the name of James Earl, aka Gentleman Jim Gates. I mean, I am a brown-eyed Scorpio, but he was the brown-eyed Scorpio, as he is so often called. James Gates has such an extensive history in radio, it's even hard to find a place to start. He started his radio journey in 1968 at Cats AM.
Doug Eason, Gino Norman, Lou Times, Donnie Brooks, and especially Gentleman Jim Gates. Elegant, dignified, articulate, and just too hip to be believed. Imagine he's still that way. Congratulations, Jim.
He later became a jock on KWK 1380, and he also co-hosted the Black Circle Hour and the Soul Brotherhood, which were very popular TV dance programs.
I always remember going out and seeing shows where Jim Gates was the MC, and you talk about slick. Jim Gates is just one of the best MCs I've ever seen on any show. And you know, he's done everything in radio. He's managed the station, he's done sales, he's been on the air. In other words, he's been all around the microphone as far as commercial radio in St. Louis. A real long-distance runner, Mr. Jim Gates.
Gentleman Jim Gates has been referenced so many times in books, on the internet, and on the radio as being a pioneer of St. Louis and putting the Midwest on the map in terms of radio. For example, in the book HipHop in America, East and West Coast by Mickey Hess, he says, quote, "Although Nelly was the first artist to make it big nationwide, St. Louis has roots in hip-hop stretching as far back as the culture itself. Gentleman Jim Gates, a DJ for St. Louis's WESL, was the first DJ in the country to ever play Sugar Hill's Rapper's Delight.
And a pair of rhyme eyes, all I'm here to do, ladies, is hypnotize. Sing it on and on and on and on and on. The beat don't stop until the break of dawn. I sing it on and on and on and on and on like a hot one in the drop.
Got Tom Popperay from Vintage Vinyl on the Delmar Loop. I want to salute Tony J and the Traffic Music Awards for recognizing one of the greatest rhythm and blues DJs I've seen in my entire life. And I've spent my entire life listening to soul DJs on the radio. And to me, Gentleman Jim Gates is the gold standard.
In 1979, Gates strapped the needle to the vinyl and introduced St. Louisans to one of the first rap records ever made. Although Gates was the first DJ nationwide to play this landmark song, many listeners in the STL had heard a precursor to this form in the call and response routines of their own Dr. Jockenstein.
Man, you know what? I think Jock actually started rapping in St. Louis. You know what I'm saying? He got all the kids doing it. I'm telling you, if it wasn't for Jock and that roll call, Nelly might not even be here. You know what I'm saying?
The question is, who gave Dr. Jockenstein his start in radio? None other than Gentleman Jim Gates. According to Kenny Monderbach, Jim Gates says, quote, "I found out Jock was giving a party at the same time, and it would be packed out. I mean, jam. So I figured if you can't beat him, join him, and I hired him. Jim Gates, not only did he discover Dr. Jockenstein, he has played many different roles in the industry, like becoming a vice president, program director, and part owner of the station in East St. Louis, Illinois, WESL AM. The legend of Jim Gates, aka Gentleman Jim Gates, the brown-eyed Scorpio, is never ending. They say that the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. Jim Gates has an array of children who are all talented just like himself. And the ones that we know the best are DJ Needles, a St. Louis DJ here who is known nationwide.
Dad, I want to congratulate you on this award you're receiving tonight. It's truly a testament of your hard work and everything that you've done to bring the radio business and the music business to where it is today in St. Louis. And, you know, a lot of people don't even realize all the other stuff that you've pioneered in this city. I mean, a lot of people don't even, they don't remember the television show, the Soul Train style television show that you had here. I believe it was Black Circle, Black something. It was for black people, and it was dope. and then Jim Gates video and all of that, man. So I definitely look up to you, obviously. Once again, you deserve it. Enjoy it.
And his brother Nick, who was a hip-hop dance choreographer, an artist, who has done works for the likes of Michael Jackson and Jay-Z, just to name a few.
That's right, I'm great. Just chilling out here in this rain. I'm supposed to be dancing for my father, man, opening up this thing, but it's rain, man. Looks like I might have to be another day.
Gentleman Jim Gates' epic career in the industry is still ongoing. Jim Gates does a show by the name of The Love Lounge on St. Louis' station for the best variety of R&B, Foxy 95.5. In addition to going down as a monumental figure of hip-hop history, we are pleased to announce Gentleman Jim Gates as the first recipient of the Traffic Music Awards, the Dr. Jockenstein Legend Award of 2011.
Without tattoo, I be the barrel man. New cheese world got you singing the blues high, but nowadays I wore a different type of cape, and yellow had to switch up the game and try to silver fade. I stepped to the music because I flew late. Now everybody said I got signs of being great. Most of the legends get their claim when they pass away, but if you leave me the scenes, I got a sack to the break. That's right, I'm great. Just remember me. Just remember me.